All right, this is part of the holding company playlist where we talk about holding companies, setting up businesses and everything. Sure to be, check it out. All right, so here's the thing. How much money does it take to start a business? And this is not something that I can just immediately say it takes this much or this much. It really depends upon your experience and it depends upon the business. One of the things that you consistently see on the internet is advertisements for template businesses. Turo, Airbnb, Amazon FBA. You see a ton of people talking about these businesses. There's a ton of content creators creating content for these businesses. And you kind of get, you're in an echo chamber. You're in a template echo chamber of information and the things that you need to do to set up this type of business, right? And when you fall outside the echo chamber, like say you wanted to start a dumpster rental business. You wanted to rent out dumpsters to people who were doing home renovations, construction sites. There's a few YouTube videos about that, but typically this is a business model that isn't flooded. There isn't a lot of information about it. So if you get into it, it can be quite lucrative for you because there's not a lot of people entering it. Because one of the big issues that happens is with template businesses, there's a lot of advertising, there's a lot of content creators, there's a lot of tons and tons of activity. So what happens is these businesses get harder and harder and harder because there's so many people who are doing them. And one of the things that happens is this creates what's the word I want to use? A mass of people in that business. Years ago, I got in the car rental business and I spent $400,000 to buy 31 cars. And I was in that business 6 months. It was the most expensive business that I've ever started. And it was one of the worst because I was operating on some beliefs. Because one of the things that I found to be really hard, there was a lot of people who were talking about renting cars and having car rentals, and no one was talking about the problems of renting cars. And I knew that, and I said, well, I'm just gonna buy my information. And literally 6 months in, I was like, this is a terrible business for me, terrible business. And one of the things, and this was a template business with a lot of content creators, a lot of people putting out information, talking about how to buy cars, how to rent cars, but no one, and I should say, I was doing Turo and I was doing hire car, with the majority of my renters coming from hire car, which is also where a lot of problems started. But let's go ahead and kind of back that back. Let's say if I took that 400,000 and I put it into my current business, I'd probably be at 3 or 4 million a month, knowing what I know now. So let's go ahead and answer the question that you have. How much money do you need to start a business? Number one, it depends upon the type of business. That is key. My first business that made me $250,000 in 8 months cost me, I would say, essentially zero to start. Why did it cost? Like literally I had to spend $139 on a new LLC. That was it. And essentially because I had experience, I already had a customer list, I already was talking to people, I didn't really have to do anything other to build up that business because literally I was able to go through my Rolodex. If you don't know, a Rolodex was a collection of names and stuff on cards that you literally had on a roll on your desk. And I was able to make a lot of money with this business. But let's talk about you and how much money that I think that you need to have to start a business today. So let's go ahead and talk about an internet business. Internet business, I'm just going to give you off the top of my head. Let's say you wanted to start a YouTube business. We talked about that, $1,500 to $5,000. Let's say you wanted to start a e-commerce business. Let's talk about that. All right, you're going to need to have money to start an e-commerce business. How much money would you need? I'm going to say, and I'm going to give you the parameters. You're going to need to have $5,000 to $25,000 available to start your e-commerce business. Now, why do you need so much? Number one, you go ahead, you put together your e-commerce website, right? And it's tricked out, you've got it laid out, but no one knows it exists. So you're going to have to pay for advertising to get people to your e-commerce site. And that's going to be a huge part of the cost of getting your business started and ramped up. And this is why I say $5,000 to $25,000, depending on what you're selling. Because like this, I have an e-commerce brand that I am developing. Let's go ahead and talk about developing it. Literally, I've got a sample over there. In my mind, it's going to be a 6-month development thing, even though I do have money. See, here's the thing. Having money and deploying that money to make more money is a tricky situation, because literally I could go out and buy all this stuff, right? But what if it doesn't work? So this is why I have like a 6-month, well, let's say we got 5 more months in the runway. We got 5 more months because I literally have to test, get stuff, present it, and build it out. So this is why like 6 months from now, I'm estimating my e-commerce brand will be doing $250,000 to $300,000 a month, but that's 6 months in the future. And that's like, there will be a redevelopment to the Hustler Kung Fu brand. There will be redevelopment of the website. There will be more merch. There will be more items. There will be more and more things. So it's going to take time, even though I have money. And this is why I said $5,000 to $25,000, because once again, you're starting a new e-commerce website that no one knows anything about. And one of the things I love to see is these things with drop shipping, or the new thing, the TikTok shops. Have you ever noticed that none of these things have become long-term enduring brands? Like, this is a Sony camera, right? Sony camera. Sony's been making cameras for many, many years. Many years, decades, really. So Sony's a brand. How many of these TikTok shops or these drop shipping shops become long-term doable brands? Hardly any of them, because they're based upon hype, they're based upon trends, and this is not something that you could build a brand on, which kind of comes back to the Hustlers Kung Fu brand, which I am currently building. Hustlers Kung Fu at the moment is not a brand. This is where I 6 months in the future, so we can go May, June, July, August, September, October, Hustlers Kung Fu will be a brand. There's a Facebook page, there's an Instagram page, there's a training site, there's this YouTube channel, and then there will be Hustlers Kung Fu Drip. So all of that would be composed to building a brand. But that would be a completely different video in the future. But once again, let's go ahead and talk about finances. All right, so number one, you should be as lean as possible before you start your business. And this is a big mistake that I see a lot of people will make, and a lot of people talk about it. Like years ago, I was broke and I had no money, and I started a business and I became a millionaire in 2 years. There is so much hype in that regard, because once again, it's a false narrative. If you're broke, there's just not a lot of businesses. Well, let's go ahead and have this conversation, and let's kind of start here, because we're talking about money. If you're broke, which means you have no money in your checking account, You don't have a lot of business credit. You don't have a lot of personal credit. You don't have loans. Why are you broke? See, that problem doesn't go away because you just started a business. That problem will stay there and enter into your business. And it will be a huge, huge problem. So what we need to do before we start the business, and this is why I push the money management course so hard, is we need to actually do things to improve our money management, because essentially you don't want to have a lot of debt. And this is what I mean by being lean. You're lean, you don't have a lot of overhead, you have the large disposable income, regardless of how much money you make. And this is the position that you should be in before you start the business. Before, you should have a long-term emergency fund. You have a short-term emergency fund. You should have a family operating account. All of this stuff should come before you start the business. And this is very, very important, because if you do not know how to manage your money, because you have no money, it's going to be hard to manage money when money starts coming in, because you're going to do some foolishness. So that's the first thing you should get all straight up. You get your money management stuff straight up, get some money in the bank. And literally what I feel today, especially in today's market with the information, that if you have access, and let me go ahead and put it out, you've got $10,000 cash on you. Let's go ahead and say your emergency fund is fully funded, which is 6 months to 12 months of cash. Then your short-term emergency fund, which is $5,000 worth of cash. And then your family operating account is 2 months of living expenses. Let's say you have all of that and you have $35,000 worth of cash, okay? And then you've been working on your credit. You have $150,000 in personal credit. And then you've largely started your holding company set up, and now you've got $150,000 in business credit. Okay, at that potential setup, you got $35,000 cash, you have $150,000 in business credit. The multitude of businesses you can start with that $150,000 in business credit is obscene. There are so many things you can do. And this is the thing, and I will kind of talk about my trajectory with business. The most money that I ever spent to start a business before the car rental business was $30,000 in the storage auction business. So this whole notion that you can start a business with no money, no assets, no cash, and this is what everyone's looking for, because why are people looking for this? Because they don't have any money. They don't have no cash. They don't have no credit. They have no emergency fund. And everyone is in this situation where they're looking for something where they can build. But going back to where I said you should be before you start your business, if you're in that position, it's going to be much easier for you to start a business, especially if you have that $35,000 cash, your long-term emergency fund, your short-term emergency fund, your family operating account. You have $150,000 in personal credit, then you leverage that personal credit and have $150,000 in business credit. You could start so many businesses, and you will not need that full $150,000. There's a lot of businesses you could start for $5,000. There's a lot of businesses you could start for $10,000. But here's the thing, and this is something I want you to hear me. You're going to need some cash. You're going to need access to some credit to get your thing started. At the moment, this is where I'm at. And this is something that I am currently working through. I have spent $40,000. I have a multitude of things going on. And the majority of that money is on that one credit card. That credit card has a $75,000 limit. Now, this is me talking about what I'm doing. This is no expectation that you're going to be doing this. Literally, if you put yourself in the position where you had $10,000 cash, let me go ahead and outline that, and your bills are minimum. You don't have a car payment. You don't have expensive loans. You don't have credit card payments. There's a lot that you can do with $10,000 in the business world. And I know I'm speaking generally because I know people want to this. What kind of business should I start? How much money would I need that? And they're looking for what should they start, how much money they need, and they're looking for that specific template that guarantees success. Now, right now, there's a lot of car dealerships that are undercapitalized that are about to close. And once again, it goes back to money management. I bought my Porsche SUV from a car dealership that is very well capitalized. They do not use a floor plan. What is a floor plan is lending where they borrow money to buy these cars and they have the interest they pay on these cars. The company that I bought my car, they pay cash for their cars because they have a very good budget and operating system. And literally, I was talking to the guy and he was like, yeah, the car business is good. Why is the car business good for them? Because they're properly capitalized. They don't have to fire sale and throw out their cars because they're not burning all this cash. So I know this is somewhat general, but I'm going to give you the ideal situation. And if you're not there, don't worry about it. You can get there. But once again, it's very important for you to have those emergency funds set up and be in the process of getting them. Because I know that you want to start a YouTube channel or something, or UCG or something where you can start making money. But here's the thing with that. You start a YouTube channel, you start UCG, your income is going to be limited because you did not start your thing properly. And this is going to create limitations for what you can go. But literally, and just to cut to the chase, if you had $10,000 cash and your personal liabilities and your bills were not that pressing, you could start a lot of businesses. So that's the magic number. $10,000 will open up the doors to you starting many businesses. And there's a lot of things that we'll be having conversations about. But essentially, where you want to be, there's the ideal situation. I will give you that. Long-term emergency fund, short-term emergency fund, family operating account, $35,000 cash, $150,000 personal credit, $150,000 in business credit. That's the ideal spot that you want to be in before you start your business. Why is that? Because you have plenty of disposable capital to start your business. So like say you start your business and make a mistake. And you spend $2,500, right? And it's a mistake. No big deal because you've got $150,000 to work with just purely on the business credit side. And then literally you've got the business credit, you have your personal credit, and then you actually have cash. So you're in a prime position. And this is one of the reasons I push the money management course so much, so hard, because that's where the key is. Because if you learn how to manage your money personally, it becomes really easy to manage your money when you start a business and start making more money. But once again, if you're just kind of trying to get in the door, $10,000, that's like the magic number that comes in my head. And once again, the optimum position where you have the long-term emergency fund, the short-term emergency fund, the family operating account, and then you have personal credit, and then you have business credit. That's the ideal situation. And literally, if you knew what to do, you could build $150,000 in business credit in literally a month. Literally a month, if you know what to do. So this is one of the things that I have some training. And once again, the training, let's go ahead and talk about it. Training is extremely expensive. Why is the training expensive? If I can teach you how to make $100,000 a year and I charge you $20,000, and then after you paid me that $20,000, you went on to make $100,000 in the next 12 months, you were $80,000 to the positive. But then after that, then you make 100. And then 5 years in the future, you have made $500,000 and you only spent $20,000. You would agree that's a good investment. So Essentially, I do have some training that I'm getting into, and the link will be below. And it's going to be really expensive. I'm not going, and why is it going to be expensive? Because I want you to do the work. I want you to sign up. I want you to do the things that you need to do. So that link will be below for the holding company setup. And I'm going to do a completely different video about the holding company. But that link's below and you can get in. There's a payment in full, and then there is a payment plan. Links below. But essentially, just to cut to the chase, there's the optimum situation that I feel you should be in, and then minimum $10,000, and there's a lot of businesses that you could talk about. And I'll be having videos talking about these businesses that you can potentially start going down on the list. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. The link's below. I will talk to you in the next video.